So welcome everybody. Welcome to 777gaming. It's your boy Mikey. I'm here with Clyde, also known as Jackson, but in the community, Digimon community, his name is Clyde. He's the one who won the PA regionals. He's a champion. So congratulations to you, Clyde. And
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for having me here.
definitely, thank you. We're glad to have you. So you won with the classic blue hybrid, huh? If I'm not mistaken, you won. Didn't you win the Digimon Fest in Miami as well?
Yeah, I played Miami like I think 2 or 3 months ago, and I also played Blue Hybrid. And the reason I chose Blue Hybrid for this event is because one, I have no EX2 cards, and two, I didn't play much BTA at all because I was on vacation for most of it, and I didn't get any of the regionals, so I kind of took a break from Digimon by not playing BTA. So I had no experience with the new cards, so I just decided to run a throwback.
Nice. Yeah, you ran a throwback and you actually you did pretty well, also and with everybody was worried about, all the new decks coming out, especially D Reaper. Did you face off against any D Reaper decks?
Yeah, it was my first round matchup actually, and it's a deck I probably want to see the least because it kind of counters blue if you don't draw right. It's not that I was used to playing it; I practiced playing against it, but it's just it just came down to a lot too much for my liking.
Got you. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. So against the D Reaper matchup, do you feel like, do you have any advice for any players, that want to play Blue Hybrid or any other deck against D Reaper?
Honestly, it's probably the most mundane advice, but just swing away. You're gonna have to try to aggress them before they get Gatekeeper live, and they run a lot of searchers, which are 1K, which are really weak. So there's a good chance your Digimon will survive. I would say like half the time you're attacking security, your Digimon will probably survive. Just swing away. Don't be afraid of giving him anything. Even if they're playing the yellow version, if you swing and hit TK card, and that's just the way the game goes. But yeah, just aggro.
Nice. Yep. Makes sense. I can agree with that. Um, so also for your matchups, is there any what was your matchups during the regionals?
Yeah, so I actually went against basically every deck in the meta. I can go over them probably by like ease of the matchup into the hardest. So the easiest I would say is Armor Rush. Most of the things are level 4, so you're just bouncing them away with Beowulf, or you're stripping sources and swinging over them so you can get rid of Armor Purge. So I went against one Armor Rush, 2-0. Next easiest I would say is Yellow Hybrid slash Set Control. They're two different decks, but they play very similarly. They just heal a lot, and they play bodies that can get stunned by your board. So you just get your tamer set up and then go for a lethal turn. The only thing you're scared of is like Holy Flame and yellow set control. The regular purple yellow set control doesn't run it. So those are pretty easy matchups if you just get your tamer set up. I didn't go against purple yellow set control, but I did go against yellow hybrid, and I 2-0'd them as well. Next is probably Ancient Greymon. I went against 3 Ancient Greymons, and you have like the ultimate weapon against Ancient Greymon, which is Tommy. So if they hit a Tommy, or if they go for the big turn and they hit a Tommy, one of their 5 checks, then that kind of ruins their game plan. So I beat all 3 of them. One of them was close. It came down 2-1, and it came down in the last game, them hitting a Tommy. So that was not that bad of a matchup since I went against 3 of them and I was able to beat all 3. I also went against an X-Antibody in top 8. That seems like it's blue favored, but if they get set up with all their tamers and all their big sources, then there's not much you can do about it because they can just build a stack. Even if you remove all sources, they can just build another stack. And your attacks might not even go through because they have blockers. So that was 2-1 in the top 8. Next is Imperial Dramon, which is kind of a coin flip. Either they have all their pieces and they burn you down, or you stun everything and gain so much memory that you beat them with a bunch of hybrids. And that there's really not much you can do about it. That was my only loss, and that was actually against you. I went against 2 Imperial Dramons, one in the top 16 and then one in Swiss. That was my only loss in Swiss. But the one in top 16, I was able to do better just because they didn't draw as well. So I have you to thank for my imperfect record at Swiss.
Yeah, definitely. That was definitely a great game. We actually went into game 3, didn't we?
Yeah, we had like 10 minutes left, and I think we were considering like, is it even worth it to play a game? I think that one of us wanted to tie, but I was like, let's just go for it, and then whatever happens, happens, because I didn't want to get any ties and go into like draw purgatory where you're going against all the slow decks like yellow and security control, and then they have long drawn out games. I'd rather, I guess, come out with a loss than with a draw at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that was Imperial Dramon, and then I say that's like a 50-50. Now comes like the harder matches for blue. Mastamon is probably next. It's kind of like Imperial Digimon where they draw the pieces, then they can out-control you, which is probably worse than Imperial Digimon where they can just out-aggro you, and you might get some security hits. Mastermind will just clear your board, wipe your tamers, and then they'll build a big board without even having to attack you that much. So that was one of the harder matchups. I went against two of them, and I beat them both, but they were really close games. And then the hardest matchup, D-Reaper. Depending on the D-Reaper, it can be a really easy matchup or a really hard matchup. The black and red versions are a little bit easier because it's easier to play around tamers like Izzy and Joe. The yellow D-Reaper is probably the hardest matchup because they play stuff like TK Kari, Spiral, and Tactical Retreat. They can really slow down your aggressive. So TK Kari is making you not want to attack. Tacticals will recover them, and they're basically just stalling until they can get Gatekeeper live. And the only answer I had was Susanumon in my deck for a live Gatekeeper. So if I didn't draw that and they had it out, then they probably win the game there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. So what would you say? What was your hardest matchup? Was
in terms of the match that was hardest, well, it was probably my loss, honestly, because that was the only match I didn't win. Against Pyro Digimon, it's just a coin flip. Sometimes it just feels out of my control, and Blue Hybrid is a control deck. So playing against a deck where it doesn't necessarily matter how good you draw, and it matters how good they draw, is pretty hard to kind of counter. So I don't like playing the Imperial Digimon matchup, even though it's not like a hard counter to this deck. It's just really hard to play against just because it feels out of my control.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. The Imperial Digimon can be very aggressive and it can be very controlling as well at times, you know. So it makes sense. It makes sense. All right. So let's get into this to this deck profile.
Yeah, sure. I'll start out the eggs. Running the basic 4 Kiaramon. It's the easiest way to draw cards, and you don't need to attack to draw cards. You can play something like Tommy or Howling or Kumamon, and it'll let you refill your hand without having to aggro their security too much. But we are running the Wadubamon just as a 5th egg. It's the next best thing. It's easy to get this draw off of it because you're stripping so many sources. We're running 4 of the BT4 Strabi and 2 of the BT6 Strabi. So we're running a low count of rookies, but just because our deck searches for so many of them through stuff like Davis or Bokomon, because these are hybrids, I feel comfortable running such a low amount of rookies. This Strabi as well is also good for getting tamers. This Strabi, the memory one, came up a lot of times where I'd want to play a Korikaku on top of it to stun something, and then I can swing to make it basically cost 2 because I'm getting memory off of this. Or even if I Big Wolf on top of it, I can bounce this back and then we'll gain a memory first and then bounce this back to hand if I'm bringing on rookies. The other rookies we're running is a 3 Modoki Betamon. I wanted to run 4, but I cut it down to 3 and put in an extra Stravimon just because I wasn't drawing enough rookies. But Modoki is great in this meta because everybody's playing a lot of memory boosts. I think most of the top decks are playing memory boosts because everybody's trying to draw their pieces and less people are running the memory blockers. So Modoki comes really handy, even in the mirror or against Imperial Digimon matchup when you want to swing their security, and Hammer Spark and Ice Walls are the most threatening there. So you want to have a Modoki out so that they don't gain that memory. The last rookies we're running are 3 Boko. I had 4, but I cut 1 down just because I was scared of playing in the mirror. And in the mirror, Pokemon is a liability because if it's out on the board, there's a good chance that it'll stay out there and then it will never leave the field. So it'll make all the Sorjos and Mats active. For the level 4s, we're running the full Blue Hybrid package, the new one at least, 4 Kuma and 4 Korikaku. They're both just standard ones. The other ones like Lobomon and Kinagurumon just cost too much memory or don't do enough. So these are the good ones because they have great effects. The Kuma can strip a source if you just need one source to strip, and then the Korikaku has a stunning mechanic. And then we're playing the 4 Beowulfmon, the best card in this deck probably. It basically recurs all of your hybrids so that you're only running 8 level 4s, but you're basically playing them like 10 times because of how much you bounce back with Beowulfmon. It's also a great board clear for a lot of the stuff in the meta, like level 4s and lower, and it really kind of threatens your opponent's small body, so it makes them want to swing into your security. And this is kind of like a security control deck. I like to call it a blue Secon just because you're playing so many tamers and options. So the threat at Beowulf makes them want to swing into your security to get use out of their little guys, which ends up costing them even more sometimes. And then just a 1 Susanumon. I tried a Zulongmon, but I like Susanumon just because he has the when Digivolving to delete a body. So I like removing that gatekeeper. A Zulongmon can go around it by swinging or multiple security checks, but you don't get that last lethal hit because gatekeeper still is that -1 security. So I like Susanamon. He did come in handy a lot. Like I would have one tamer, they would have three security, and they didn't expect me to have game, but I would have Susanamon. Yeah, not much to say about that. Running one ice wall, a card's broken. If I could run four, I'd run four. Three Hammer Spark. I couldn't find room for a fourth Hammer Spark, and this was no mulligans, so I didn't want to break my hand with too many Hammer Sparks. If there was a mulligan format, I would find a way to fit another Hammer Spark back in because it's just a great card. And you're drawing so many cards in this deck that you need the extra cards with free costs or low costs so that you can use all of them. Otherwise, you end up with a hand of like 10, 15 cards. Two Howling Boost or Howling Memory Boost is great for stripping for like Hieroman, and it's great for stunning. Not much to say about that. And then the one Blue Memory Boost. This card came in so clutch. I added it initially for the Mastamon matchup because with Mastamon, you don't want to dedicate too many resources to the board or to Tamers because they could pop both by going to a Mastamon play. So I wanted some kind of card that gives me memory for a future turn like Howling Memory Boost, but if they have nothing on board, then Howling Memory Boost is pretty useless. So Blue Memory Boost is there just to grab the extra card and then give you memory for a future turn. So the card came really handy. I don't know if I'll run more than two, but I want at least one. It also helps refill your hand with like hybrids so that you can have Susanamon play.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with the memory boost. Memory boost and it's definitely something different. You don't really see that in a lot of hybrid lists.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me about it, and I love it. It came up so much for me.
Nice.
Two of the Innocence Blizzard. This is a card I'm not used to playing that much, so I definitely messed up a lot of times. There were times after my game where I had it in my hand, but I didn't really utilize it to its full potential just because I'm not used to using it. But this card was really good because it has a great security trigger. It can save you like lethal if they're threatening it because of it can activate its main effect, unlike Howling Memory Boost where it just activates its main delay effect. It's also great for being able to strip and stun your opponent's Digimon without having to attack, which is great because you don't want to swing too much in this meta and give your opponent free tamers or options. And now for the tamers, we're running 4 Davis, just great memory tamer, and it gives you an extra Digimon to help you unbrick. For Tommy, this card is disgusting in security against most of the decks like X-Antibody or Red Hybrid. It also lets you stun your opponent's Digimon. And if your Digimon that swings on top of Tommy lives, then it requires your opponent to answer. Otherwise, you just get infinite stuns. For Sora Joe, this card is probably the most annoying card to play against in the blue when you're playing against Blue Hybrid, just because they get so much memory from it, and it also strips your sources when you swing with it. So when you have it out, sometimes you want to keep your rookie in raising until your opponent brings out their Digimon in raising, because you want to threaten the swing with Sora Joe so that you can strip their sources. If you bring out in raising before they do, they can wipe your board, and you might not have a Digimon to use Sora and Joe's one attacking effect. And then for the 2-drop mats, it basically counts as like a 2-drop rookie, and it's also good in like the Mastamon matchup because you don't commit to a big tamer like Sora Joe or Davis, and your opponent will just pop a 2 cost instead of a 4 cost. So somebody told me that, and it actually came up really handy in the Mastamon matchup. It also helps you give them or choke them because it's a 2-drop, and you don't have many of those in this deck.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Your list is definitely unique, and it seems like you thought about pretty much everything you could think about to get prepared for the tournament, which is nice, man. Nice, it's very interesting. You pilot Blue Hybrid very well, extremely well. And
Thank you.
I'm happy to see that. Me being a blue player, I started playing Digimon as yellow, but then once I started playing blue, it was just over from that, and then. So I love to see, blue players representing and, winning it out, bro. Everybody was rooting for Red Hybrid, nothing against Red Hybrid, but I'm like, I want this blue player to win. Blue got to get it,
No, yeah, I totally understand. Just because coming out of the last meta where blue is really dominant, it probably is really annoying to see blue win. But in this meta where it's not as represented, blue is actually really fun to play and kind of fun to see. If I wasn't playing blue and I was going against it, I would be like, wow, it's something different because I'm not going against like 10 blue hybrids in a row. So I think that it's a great choice in this meta now. If people just don't want to play with new toys, they just want to play a deck that's good. And you're not going to see the mirror that much, so it's actually kind of fun to be able to play the game rather than just you or your opponent who draws better or something. Yeah.
Yeah, better than No offense to yellow players, but better than mirror matching yellow hybrid all day, you know?
Yeah, they're both pretty bad. I'm not sure which one's worse because playing against the blue hybrid mirror is pretty bad as well.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. I seen a lot of yellow hybrid in during PA, a lot of yellow hybrid mirror matches that day. It was interesting.
Yeah, yellow hybrid or second control. There's a lot of that running around, so I felt bad for the people who had to encounter that. That's why I didn't want to tie. I didn't want to go against any of those decks.
Yeah, definitely. Well, man, you know, congrats on, you know, becoming in first place again, you know, and I hope the best for you, man. What are you planning on running for BT9, if you don't mind?
BT9, I'm really interested in Metal Garurumon. It seems like such a fun deck because you draw so many cards, and I'm not typically a blue player. I was originally a purple player, but Metal Garurumon seems so fun. Other than that, I'm interested in X Antibody just because X Antibody seems really strong, and all the cards are synergized so well that it's really cool. But yeah, those are the two decks I'm looking for.
Nice, man, nice. Well, do you have any advice for you know, other players out there that might want to win, you know, become such a good player as you, such as, you know, you won 2 big tournaments recently this year, and do you have any advice for any players that want to get better at the game?
Yeah, I would say for one, to choose a deck that resonates with you. You don't want to choose a deck that's known to be the best because I think before heading into the tournament, D Reaper had a lot of hype. Yellow Hybrid had a lot of run as one of the best decks. But Yellow Hybrid didn't even do that well in the tournament. So choose a deck that you can do well. It's better for you to be able to be a master at a mid or high mid deck rather than you to be a kind of a novice in a, I guess, broken or a really good meta deck. So choose a deck that really resonates with your play style, even if it's not the best deck, and then you're really good at it. And then the other thing would be to find great testing partners. There's a lot of Digimon Discords out there, and you can find people who to test with and try to vary your testing partners so that you're playing different decks. And then you're not just going against the same deck over and over again.
Yeah, I agree. It makes sense. I agree. Definitely, man. Well, congrats again to, you know, becoming a champion and, you know, getting first place again. And, you know, you have a YouTube channel, don't you? I don't know if you want to share with the people so they can check it out.
My YouTube channel, or my team's YouTube channel, is Royal Nuts Gaming, based off of the Royal Nuts card. I try to upload there as much as possible, but I've been busy, so I haven't been able to. And I'm trying to come up with new content for it. But yeah, that's my channel if you guys want to check it out. Yeah, and I just want to give some shout outs too. Shout outs to my team, both Royal Nuts Gaming and DG Academy, for helping me playtest. And then to the people who helped me built this deck, Jose and Thomas, for basically telling me how to run it and basically advising me on what cards to take in or to take out or put in. And they really basically kind of walked my hand through how to play this deck.
Nice, man, nice. Well, congrats again, man, and you know, thank you for, you know, doing the interview, and thank you for being on the channel. You know, we're glad to have you, and you know, I hope you stay safe, stay positive, and everybody, thanks for checking out the video. You guys have a good day, good evening, whatever time it is. Peace.
Thank you.